Picture this. You're a British scientist in 1799. You've dedicated your life to the study of natural history. You've classified birds, catalogued insects, written papers that other serious men in powdered wigs have nodded at approvingly. You are, by all accounts, a person who understands how animals work. And then, somebody slides a specimen across your desk. It has the bill of a duck, the tail of a beaver, the body of an otter, and, oh, it also apparently lays eggs, like a bird. But it's a mammal. And your professional, considered scientific conclusion is, this is fake. Someone has sewn several animals together and is trying to make you look stupid. And here's the thing. You would not be wrong to think that, because the platypus is so comprehensively bizarre that the first European scientists to examine one literally wrote in their official notes that they suspected it was a taxidermy hoax. And they weren't being dumb. The platypus is just genuinely that impossible looking. But here's what those scientists didn't know, and what most people still don't know today. The bill and the beaver tail? Those are actually the most normal things about it, because underneath that ridiculous exterior is an animal that lays eggs but makes milk, hunts with its eyes shut using electricity, glows in the dark for no known reason, carries venom in its heels, and has 10, not 2, not 4, 10 sex chromosomes, and we're going to get to all of that. But first, let me put this animal in its proper context. Because the platypus isn't just weird, it's a living fossil. From a branch of the mammal family tree so ancient, your last common ancestor with one of these things was alive when dinosaurs were still very much a going concern. We're talking 180 million years ago. To put that into perspective, that's longer ago than T-Rex existed, and the platypus has basically just been out here, doing its impossible thing, ever since. The platypus belongs to a group called monotremes, and monotremes are the oldest surviving branch of mammals, having split off from everything else, including us, before the evolution of placentas, before live birth, before basically anything we associate with the word mammal. Today, there are only 5 species of monotreme left alive on Earth. The platypus and 4 species of echidna. That's it. 5 species. Out of the entire mammalian family tree. Because everything else either evolved into something more modern or died. The monotremes are just still here. Stubbornly. Impossibly. Being weird. And the weirdness starts at the very beginning of life. Because the platypus is a mammal that lays eggs. Not metaphorically, actual eggs. Small, leathery, marble-sized eggs. Incubated in an underground burrow for about 2 weeks. And when they hatch, the babies, called puggles, which is genuinely their name, and I refuse to apologize for how good that is, are roughly the size of a jelly bean. Now, here's where it gets immediately contradictory. Because after the eggs hatch, the mother feeds her puggles milk, like a mammal, which she produces in mammary glands, also like a mammal, except she has no nipples. So instead, the milk just seeps directly through her skin and pools on her belly, where the puggles lap it up off her fur. She doesn't nurse them, she sweats milk onto herself, and they drink it off her, like she's a warm, furry table. And if that image isn't stuck in your brain now, I don't know what to tell you. But here's the thing about that milk. It isn't just weird in its delivery method, it's also weird in its content. Because platypus milk contains special antimicrobial proteins that act as a kind of built-in protection system for the babies. Scientists are actively studying these proteins right now for potential use in fighting antibiotic-resistant bacteria in humans. Yes, a sweating, egg-laying mammal. That looks like a prop from a children's movie. Might contribute to solving one of modern medicine's biggest problems. The world is full of surprises. Now, let's talk about the bill. Because most people think of it as just a funny visual quirk, like nature couldn't decide whether to make a duck or a mammal, and just went with both. But the bill is actually the most sophisticated sensory organ of any mammal on Earth. Here's why. When a platypus dives underwater to hunt, it closes its eyes, and its ears, and its nostrils. All of them. sealed shut, which means it is completely blind, deaf, and unable to smell. And yet, it hunts with extraordinary precision, detecting shrimp hidden in mud, worms buried under gravel, insects tucked in crevices. So how? Well, the bill contains roughly 40,000 electroreceptors, and these receptors detect the tiny electrical fields generated by the muscle movements of other animals. Every time a shrimp twitches, every time a worm shifts, every time anything with a muscle moves, it produces a microscopic electrical signal, and the platypus feels it, not sees it, feels it, like a sixth sense, built directly into its face. And to be clear about how rare this is, sharks have electroreception, rays have it, a handful of fish, and the platypus. That's basically the list for vertebrates that hunt this way. It evolved this ability completely independently from every other mammal, because the other mammals were doing things like developing proper eyesight and noses, and not closing all their senses simultaneously when looking for dinner. The platypus just decided electricity was better. Oh, and one more thing about the bill, because scientists in 2020 discovered that when you shine ultraviolet light on a platypus, its fur glows blue-green, like something from a science fiction film, and nobody knows why. The leading theories are that it might help camouflage them from predators that can see UV light, or possibly help them spot each other in low light. Or, and this is the scientific community's honest third option, it might just be a leftover trait from ancient mammal ancestors that the platypus kept for absolutely no current reason. It might literally glow for no purpose, which honestly feels very on brand. But the bill and the glowing fur and the sweated milk, as wonderfully absurd as they are not the part of the platypus that should make you genuinely stop and reconsider your understanding of biology. That part is the venom, because male platypuses have a sharp spur on each hind leg, connected directly to a venom gland. And this venom is not mild. It's potent enough to kill a dog. In humans, it causes immediate intense pain, severe swelling that can last for weeks, and a specific type of pain that is reportedly resistant to normal painkillers. Not just, ouch, that stings. More like, I have been stabbed by a mammal, and morphine is not helping. Scientists, in their constant quest to find silver linings in things that hurt people, have been studying these venom proteins because they contain compounds that may help develop new types of pain treatment. So the platypus is simultaneously causing pain and potentially helping us treat pain, which is a very specific kind of poetic justice. And then there's the genome, because when scientists finally sequenced the full platypus genome, they found something that shouldn't be possible. The DNA contains mammalian genes, reptilian genes, and genes found previously only in birds, 3 completely separate animal lineages, combined in one genome, like nature copy-pasted from 3 different blueprints at once. And the sex chromosomes are so bizarre that scientists barely know what to do with them. You have 2 sex chromosomes, one X and one Y. Most mammals do. The platypus has 10, 5 X chromosomes, and 5 Y chromosomes arranged in a chain. And these chromosomes are more similar to bird chromosomes than to human ones, meaning the platypus is, in the most literal genetic sense, part mammal, part reptile, and part bird, simultaneously. It is all 3 things at once. It refused to pick a lane 180 million years ago, and it has not picked one since. So where does all this leave the platypus today? Well, here's the part that matters beyond pure fascination, because despite being an unkillable evolutionary time capsule, that has survived 5 mass extinctions, by virtue of being too strange for the universe to figure out what to do with. The platypus is actually in serious trouble. The IUCN classified it as near threatened in 2016, with population numbers having fallen by roughly 30% since European settlement. And a 2020 study from the University of New South Wales predicted that population abundance could drop by 47 to 66% over the next 50 years due to water extraction, land clearing, and climate change. They survived the dinosaurs. They survived the ice ages. They survived 180 million years of everything the planet could throw at them. And now, they're being undone by pollution and drought. Which is the kind of irony that's genuinely hard to sit with. And there are conservation groups working to change that. So consider looking up the Australian Platypus Conservancy, or WWF Australia's Platypus Program, if you'd like to help. Because losing the platypus wouldn't just mean losing a strange-looking animal with a funny name for its babies. It would mean losing our clearest living window into what the earliest mammals actually were, into what we were before we became us. So the next time someone describes the platypus as just a weird duck-beaver thing from Australia, you can tell them what it actually is. An egg-laying, milk-sweating, electricity-sensing, UV-glowing, venom-spurring, 10-sex chromosome-having, dinosaur-era survivor, with a genome that reads like nature couldn't commit to a single kingdom. It's not a mistake. It's not a joke. It's the most ancient mammal still alive, doing everything wrong by our standards. And somehow, still here. While the dinosaurs aren't, and we almost aren't. But the platypus is fine. Probably, as long as we let it be. And honestly, in a world that keeps trying to fit everything into neat categories, there's something kind of wonderful about an animal that has spent 180 million years refusing to be any one thing. It lays eggs. It makes milk. It hunts with electricity. It glows for no reason. It carries venom just in case. And it still somehow looks like something a child drew in crayon on a Tuesday afternoon. Maybe the real question isn't why the platypus doesn't make sense. Maybe it's why we ever thought the rest of nature did.